Welcome to EDN3, Jim.
Hey, beautiful. I'd love to say that I'm getting used to it, that the cold is growing on me, but it ain't.
There's a lot of difference, certainly in kind of the overall feel of the game, because it is a prequel. We are kind of going back in time, and the way we treat the character, the way we treat the narrative, it's much more of a narrative-focused experience. Before I talk about individual kind of features, I'll just say that the overall sort of concept is to provide a very robust, character-driven, sort of cinematic campaign on the single player, and also very robust multiplayer in addition to that. Well, we tried as much as possible to create connections. Really what Lost Planet 3 is I kind of talk about it as the origin story of Lost Planet. It's really about, a lot of the elements that we've known throughout the franchise that have been mentioned. At the very beginning of Lost Planet 1, we learn about the snow pirates, and you're playing as a snow pirate, and you're fighting Nevik, and it's like, okay, well, how did that begin? How did that conflict begin? Who are the snow pirates? How did they get here? Thermal energy is used as a resource in the first two games. Well, who discovered thermal energy? Who utilized it? And so what we're really trying to do is go back and create those connections and sort of fill in the blanks with all of those elements. But we're also creating direct ties. When Jim, the main character, meets his mechanic, the mechanic's name is Gale. Gale is actually the father of Wayne, who's the protagonist of Lost Planet 1. So, there are those sort of those connections that guide you throughout the narrative of the franchise. What we're really trying to strive for is something that you can play and you can feel invested in Jim and in his character and in his journey and the relationships with all the other characters. I mean, I'm a big fan of classic sci-fi. The first two Alien movies, John Carpenter's The Thing. Anything from 70s, 80s sci-fi. I'm all about that. And so I wouldn't say that necessarily that this is designed to be directly inspired by that, but there was that inspiration in a lot of the elements. So if you like sci-fi, if you like classic sci-fi movies and novels, comic books, and other games, of course, I really think this is going to be up your alley, because we do tell one of those classic stories of these colonists banding together trying to survive in this alien environment, and the Acre there is part of the world, and they're trying to defend their territory, their environment. But obviously, they're not the real antagonists. The real antagonist is what happens when humans get involved here, right? It's basically the story of a bunch of humans who come to a new planet, and they're not there for a few weeks before they start fighting over this new planet, and that really is one of the main thematic elements I think people hopefully will respond to. Other new features that we have, there's a lot more exploration-based gameplay this time around. In the first two games, when you're playing the campaign mode, it was very much a situation of play the first level, beat the boss, go to level 2, beat the boss, more of an arcade style. In this game, because we do want to talk about themes like exploration of the world and stuff like that, you will be sort of unlocking new areas and accessing different parts of the map that you can go back to. So it feels much more as though you're really exploring the world and increasing your kind of area of influence as you go throughout the game. On the single player end, some of our new features that we have is we've got the utility rig vehicle, which is the largest pilotable vehicle that we've ever had in the series. When you get into the utility rig, it actually goes into first-person perspective, which is another new thing that we have for the franchise. And really the reason to do that is basically because we wanted to show the scale of it. And by getting in first person and getting up high, you really do feel that the scale of being, kind of looking down at the environment, if you will. One of the largest challenges that we had was getting the utility rig to function the way we wanted. I mean, we had this concept for a large machine that you would get into that would be in first person, that would use more construction tools. It wouldn't be a weaponized vehicle. It wouldn't have chain guns and rocket launchers and things. It would all be about grabbing and clawing and drilling. And that's all great on paper, but it was really hard to build. So we spent a lot of time in the prototype phase actually building it out and making that work. And that was one of the big high points of the project was seeing that actually work and be successful. Also related to the rig, one of the challenges that we had was in the map design and in the level design, because most games only deal with a single viewpoint. When you're going from a 2 meter tall human character to 10 meter tall mech, you basically have to make sure that all the level design and all of the art is going to work at both those levels. And so things that you might not be able to see when you're playing as Jim, you will be able to see when you're looking down from from the rig, so you actually have to build out areas that you might not otherwise need to. And that was a challenge in the map design as well. So far, the press response has been quite positive. I think people who play the game really understand what we're trying to do with the narrative and with the character, and they understand the more human nature of the story. And we've gotten a lot of good response and articles from the press. Unfortunately, I think that the gamer, the average gamer, is still a little skeptical, right? I mean, they see some good articles, but they really want to get their hands on it and find out what their peers are saying first.